Hey everybody, it's on screen, off screen. We are back with another great episode. We got Lauren still with her grandpa because she's the greatest granddaughter in the world and she's helping him out. We got Josh who's working up a storm, still with an incredible background and one freaking fantastic looking haircut. He's looking sharp. We're gonna start this episode off with let's start with Lauren's topic.
Okay, so this is another fan fiction I'm reading. It's
Cool.
called "I Will Make You Proud." Let me make sure that I have the name of the author. Um, it is it's a strange name, so it's "Where Does She Go?" That's the person who wrote it. Um, yeah, more like the title should be "I'll Make You Cry." um, this author, I haven't, I think I'm like to chapter 10 of this fan fiction, but the author writes how I think.
Hmm.
Meaning, like, in this, it follows Hermione and she's an R, and the first thing that it shows going on is she goes to investigate a body that had been found. And
And horrors, are they detectives? Or are they like battle mages? I can't remember.
yeah, they're like detectives. They're
Okay.
magical detectives, yeah. And so she goes to investigate and she finds that it is Draco Malfoy and that he had hanged himself. I forget. Yeah. Anyway, um, I just saw Josh's facial expression. Anyway, he and so like before she like saw his face, she was like taking notes of like the room and everything, and she like looks at his shoes and sees that they're like, oh, they're really expensive. I wonder like where he got those. And then she saw that he had just ordinary plain black socks on, and she was like, huh, I wonder if like those were a favorite pair of socks or if those were just ordinary socks or if he knew what he was going to do when he put those socks on. And I'm like, that's how I think in my head a lot of the times. Like those are thoughts that I think when I'm observing things. And so, like, this book hits me even harder because she describes things like how I think. And then, like, when she does see that it's Draco, like, she's like shocked because she knew him, not necessarily because she like liked him or anything. But then they find out that he has a whole bunch of, before he decided to kill himself, it was he pulled out all of his memories and like put them in a bag. And so she's like, and he had like diaries like explaining everything. And so she's like going through all of this and going through all of his memories and everything. And I'm like, this is rough, but also really like interesting. I really like how the author writes this. And yeah, so I'll make you proud, more like I'll make you cry. It's a really good point of view, I think, from like all of the other fan fictions I've read. And it's funny because I started reading this one because it was advertised to me as um like some fan fictions are meant to like break your heart, this one's meant to heal you. And I'm like, where's the healing start? Because right now it's just like breaking my heart, but in a good way. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. I'll probably have more to talk about if I get to the end. It's it's like a hard good book to read for me, but
Will you send the link to this one in the chat? So I'm
yeah,
actually interested in this one.
interested in it. Okay, yeah,
Yeah. I I kind of like dark stories that are done well, and Hermione being an Auror makes a lot of sense to me, like on a character level. It's not the Hermione and Draco are together stuff that just seems ridiculous. Like Hermione could totally be an Auror. That matches. It's supposed to be a really hard thing to get into. Like, I think about high level FBI stuff. It's not easy to get to that level. She could qualify for something like that. I could see it part of her personality. She's very structured. She's very rule based. I could see her being a part of an organization like that, where structures and rules are kind of like how you live and how you thrive. I could see that. That's interesting to me. Her coming across an old friend that had committed suicide is very impactful. It makes me actually. This sounds awful, but it makes me care a little bit more about the character because I could see Draco with his situation actually going along that route versus being like, I now love everybody and I'm good with you and you fixed me and la la la. I'm not into that. That's not my thing. I'm not into that. And it sounds good to me. What so do the characters feel authentic to themselves in the original story? Because that's a big deal to me.
Do
you get what I mean?
I would say it's yes and no. Because there's a little bit divergent of the Malfoy family is way darker in this than it is in the series. And like there's a few relationships that aren't the same. So like Ginny isn't with Harry, which I'm okay with. And like Hermione isn't with Ron, which I'm okay with.
So am I actually.
So like it's staying with so far from what I've read, like what happens in the books. And it's like now after they've graduated and it's following when I think she's like in her late 20s right now. Okay. And so so it starts there, but when it like references stuff that's happened, it's stuff that happened in the book is canon. If that answers your question.
It does. But that's interesting.
Yeah, and it makes Draco's character like I feel like a lot of fan fictions excuse his behavior. This one doesn't excuse it, but explains it.
Okay.
And it's very interesting because it's like, he's an a-hole. He learned how to be an a-hole this way. This is how he's like protecting himself-ish, but also like, it's not an excuse. It's like showing why he is that way. And I enjoy that a lot. Also, it hurts.
I enjoy that too. It's better. And honestly, one of my complaints about the book is actually Harry ending up with
Jenny.
What's her name? Jenny. Or no, not Harry ending up Jenny. Harry ending up Jenny, I'm totally fine with. I don't think Hermione should have ended up with Ron.
Yeah.
I think that should have been like a good example of teaching people you can break up and be friends because you guys just don't match very well. And I think they could have done some really interesting stuff with that dynamic that is so rarely explored in anything.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you guys just don't work, but you guys are cool friends. And that's great. And that would have been awesome to explore in the series. I'm down with that. I'm okay with Harry not ending up with Lily. Not Lily. Lily's mom. What was
I'm
good
if you didn't end up with Lily too.
I'm glad he didn't end up with Lily. That would have been awkward. What is her name again?
Wrong in so many ways.
Jenny. I am cool if Harry doesn't end up with Jenny. It could be just a high school thing. They can end up together. Whatever. Anyway, what's your rating of this so far?
So far, I would say it's 8.5.
Okay, solid.
So, yeah.
Solid. If you'll add the link, I'll try this one out.
Yeah, I'll find it.
And with that, let's go. I'll go to my topic, and we'll end with Josh's. So my topic is awesome. I love my topic. It's send help, and it's a topic that I will not recommend to either of you. Have you guys watched the trailer for this at all? Okay, so basic story is Rachel McAdams and what's his name? Guy from Maze Runner. Dylan O'Brien end up in a crashed airplane on a maroon island. And they have to figure out how to survive. Rachel McAdams is like this nerdy, kind of gross girl, but she's always wanted to be on Survivor, and that's how they explain her ability to survive on this island. Dylan O'Brien is the son of a Fortune 500 CEO who takes over the company after his dad dies, and is just a complete and utter tool bag. And they do a really good job of making him a tool bag, and they do a good job of not having him represent every single guy in the entire world. He is just the tool bag. It's not all men are tool bags, which I really appreciate that. That's what I was afraid of with this movie. And Rachel McAdams is this nerdy girl, but she loves Survivor. She's watched every episode. She watches Survivor stuff on YouTube in her spare time. And this is paradise for her. She's like, I get to just do all this stuff that I've been wanting to do for my entire life. So Dylan O'Brien is, when they crash the plane, he floats up on shore. She builds a shelter for him, pulls him underneath the shelter. It starts raining and pouring. He wakes up and he's still a prick. He's still like trying to give her orders because that's what he's done his entire life. And she's like, we're not in the office anymore. We're on an island. You need to stop being a prick. And he's suffering. He can't stand up. He's just banged up. She just leaves him for a whole day. And is like, you think you can do better on your own? Go ahead. And it's great. The first half of this movie is like truly fantastic. And she like, he'll be a prick and she'll just be like, okay, I'm not getting you food. You're going to say sorry, or are you just going to starve? I know how to fish. I have fish. I know how to gather fruit. You don't have any food. You're going to say sorry? And he humbles himself and they become closer. But Rachel has a dark past that you find out, and she becomes more and more crazy while she's on this island. And you can see like hints of it, where she's enjoying being in control and she's enjoying being like the top dog because she's always kind of been run over. And in this place, she has complete control over Dylan, and she becomes more and more crazy as the movie goes on. And the second half is the reason I wouldn't recommend it to either of you. I think Josh will find the ending stupid because I kind of find the ending stupid. And I think Lauren would be horrified by some of the scenes that are inside of this show. There's a part where she skewers a pig, and it's actually really funny. She's like hunting it with a stick, and she stabs it, and blood is just like spraying all over the place. And she comes back. She's like, "Have you ever tried hunting? I think I like it." And had this crazy look in her face. And she's losing her mind. She's getting more and more intense. I think doing a horror comedy is extremely hard to do. There's very few that are good, but when they land, I love them. And this was a movie that was literally made for me. I loved it. The ending is dumb. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I don't care because I had so much fun with this. Rachel McAdams is like nothing I've ever seen her in. She's a completely different character. She knocks it out of the park. Dylan O'Brien plays a douchebag tool so well. It's crazy. I don't know. With the ending, I'm just going to spoil it because I don't recommend this to either of you. I'd recommend it to somebody out there watching because it's going to be made for you too. But the ending, when Dylan's getting better and she's kind of nursed him to health, she's like, you see those stones over there? Don't go over there. They're covered in thorns. And the entire time I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's a travel destination. You know that she's seen a boat and she's like not notified anybody because she enjoys being on the island. And there's a billionaire's mansion that's just like sitting on the cliffside in this place. It's a giant twist. It's where she got her knife from that she has. She's getting all these little tools. You don't know where exactly they're coming from. And she says they washed up on shore. Doesn't make complete sense. It turns out that she killed Dylan O'Brien, and then she comes back and she's this big survivor story. And she has all this money because she has a book deal and she's doing all these tours because she's the one who survived 2 months out on sea, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't match her character at all. The entire time she's this loner who cannot believe how happy she is that she gets to live on this island. Like, that's her character. And to all suddenly switch to being, okay, I'm just going to be the rich bitch who has book deals and goes to all these signings, just doesn't match for her character and doesn't make sense to the story. It is a giant plot hole. It doesn't work. But the rest of the movie is so good that I was willing to forgive that because I had so much fun. I laughed. There were times that were cringy. There were times where I was like, oh, mic drop. That was so badass. was just like it was just good. Um, and for someone out there, not you two, for someone out there, this is a very good movie. I'm giving it an 8. For me, the problems with it probably drop it to a 7, but I'm giving it an 8.
So you don't recommend it me for me just because of the pig scene?
And not just the pig scene. There
Oh.
are some other scenes that are like, there's a scene where they're both fighting at the end, and he's like squishing her eye, and the eyeball is like
Ooh.
squishing to the side. It's,
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, oh, oh. There's
Yeah.
a couple scenes like that where I'm like, Lauren would hate this. Not
Mhm.
like this, hate it. And
I see. And it is labeled a horror comedy?
yeah, it's
Oh,
a
okay.
dark comedy. It's like Sam Raimi,
Okay.
the guy who did Spider Man, is famous for the Evil Dead movies, and they're also like a horror comedy kind of a movie. The old ones are, and this feels very much like those. But he literally hasn't done a horror comedy since like 1995.
There was one movie I tried that it said it was a dark comedy. It had now I can't think of what his name is. Uh Nicolas Cage in it, and I was not a fan of dark comedy. I was like, I saw comedy. I didn't realize that dark comedy was its own genre. And I was like, oh, this will be a good fun time. No.
Nope.
It's not. It just like it came off as cringy to me most of the time when there's like a dark humor put into a movie, if that makes sense. Because I do have dark humor, but apparently that doesn't translate to movies dark humor.
it's it's just really hard to pull off. It's hard to pull off even if it's like Zombieland pulls off horror comedy really well, but that's different than dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And even horror comedy is really hard to pull off and not be cringy or be like disgusting. It's just hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I absolutely friggin' love this movie. It's like it's one of my favorite Rachel McAdams movies. Like I loved this movie.
Good. Did you tell us what you rated it?
I gave it an 8. If so,
Okay.
when I look at the reviews, they're very polarized, and I completely understand with this movie. It's not like there's some movies where I read polarizing views, and I'm like, you're all crazy. This is just good. This one, if you hate it, I get it. I get you hating this movie. I loved it.
Good.
Anyway, guys, let's go to the next one. Josh, let's hear your topic.
So I listened to the book Empire of Silence. The entire reason I listened to this is because of how much Conlon loves this series. Specifically, the last book, he will rave and rave and rave and rave and rave about how good it is and how hard it is to nail endings and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of, I could listen to the fifth Harry Potter book, but after the fourth one, I'm not really motivated for that right now. I'm waiting for the next Dungeon Crawler Carl book, so I'm not really motivated for that right now. And so I decided we'll give this a try. We'll listen to the first book in the Sun Eater series. Uh, I want to preface my review with I was in a can't help it mood kind of this week. That's what I call when you're like, I want to do something, but nothing sounds good, like nothing. Or when you're sitting around, you're like, I want to watch a movie, not that movie, not that movie. And you just sit there and go, not that, not that. So I am going to boost my rating a quarter of a point just because of my pre existing mood. Um,
Okay.
and this book, I chose a quarter of a point because if something is that high quality, it will overcome that mood. You'll get sucked into it anyway. This was not that. It was not good enough to overcome. The beginning is just Red Rising. While I was listening to it, I was like, I'm going to list off the plot points and then say, hey, Lauren, can you guess what book I listened to? Because it's in a sci fi fantasy future. where Earth is a thing, but they're not on Earth, where the class situation is decided by physical attributes like eye color, strength, this, that, and the other. A person of a certain class is not happy with their situation when the death of a loved one drives them to quote unquote die themselves, and they're reborn into a new class where they get sucked into some gladiator game of some kind where they form bonds that are going to come back up in the future. And I was like, this is sucky Red Rising. It is just not good Red Rising. It's not bad, so I guess sucky's not the right words, but it's just like, this is a, if you've read Red Rising, you're just gonna sit there and go, okay, I've been here, I've done that, let's move forward.
Discount Red Rising.
It's discount Red Rising, it's Walmart brand Red Rising. And then it rushes through basically all of Red Rising in like the first third of the book. And then it becomes Pocahontas, and this is where I got really into it, because I was actually like, okay, this writer is writing this like kind of romance pretty well, and I actually like both characters. And then it turned into The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and this is where it pissed me off. Lauren, met this guy with fantastic hair this week. Let's say this guy is everything that you hoped and dreamed he would be. And then, let's say your grandpa said, well, now you have to marry him. And you said, no, I don't want to because you're telling me to. So now I'm going to run away.
That is what would happen.
That's what happens in this book. He's like, I like this girl. She's a beautiful girl. She's rich. She will give me everything I ever wanted. I will have wealth. I will have power. I will inherit. But because it was an arranged marriage, I don't want to have been arranged marriaged, and I'm going to leave now.
I would think it was a trap. I'm like, you guys set me up.
Well, that's the thing. He's like, I don't want to be a pawn in someone else's games. And I'm like, you were literally just talking about how you wanted to marry this girl. And yes, this is probably the chronic single person in me projecting this. But I was like, you have got to be kidding me that it is a deal breaker that her dad or whatever wants you to also marry this girl. Like,
it's a deal breaker.
No!
Like, I got your blessing. No.
Well, now I don't want it. Now I have to go run away and be poor and have nothing. I was like, okay. Just absolutely ridiculous. In his efforts to run away, we get to the Golden Sun section of the book, and that's where we finish, is basically with the end of Golden Sun, where he reunites with his gladiator buddies, and they fight this fight for the goodness of fighting the fight, and they come out with heavy losses, but overall victory. And I was like, the pacing was so fast. And would I think that if I hadn't read Red Rising? I don't know. But what I can say is there are no original ideas in this book. None. They're done pretty well. Like, I was never bored, but specifically during the first part where it was just Red Rising, I was zoning out, and normally I would have to rewind and be like, okay, minus 30 seconds, where was I? Yes, I heard this before, let me compartmentalize this book. In this one, I was like, oh, I zoned out. Oh, where were we? Oh, we're still in Red Rising. They just gave yet another just Red Rising plot point or detail or whatever. So it was fine. I didn't hate that I read this one. It wasn't written better than Red Rising. It wasn't trying something different. Like, the twist on it being, in Red Rising, he's poor and he goes into the rich class. And in this one, he's rich and he goes into the poor class, but it only lasts through the gladiator games, and then he's recognized. And it's really irritating to me because he has his family signet, ring. And every time he has like a trial to overcome, he's immediately like, but look at my family blood. I'm a rich person, really. And I'm like, wow, way to overcome that hard thing in your life. Way to take on that challenge. So I'm going to give it a 6.25 because I wanted to give it a 6, but I'm giving it a quarter of a point because of just my mood going into it, and it stayed that way through it.
Okay. So I actually want to respond to this one because I largely think Josh is right. I'm a little bit less harsh on the invisible life of Addie LaRue part of the book. Whenever I tell somebody to read this series, I tell them the first book, there's a lot of people who don't like it, like actively don't like the first book. I read it and I was like, that was a pretty decent book. That's kind of what my thoughts on it were. That was pretty good. There's the Name of the Wind. I kind of thought about it as sci-fi Name of the Wind. And I was like, I like this better than Name of the Wind. I think Name of the Wind is super overrated. I'll give the second book a shot at some point, but I wasn't in a big rush to read book 2. That's where I was. This was his first book ever. His first book ever written. And he got published, which almost never happens. And you can see a lot of weaknesses that are in this first book. I think everything Josh is saying is actually pretty fair. For my favorite series. Like, I don't think the first book is amazing. There's a reviewer, a booktube reviewer, I can't remember his name right now, but there's one, Daniel Green. He kind of got me to keep going with the series because he talked about how much he loved it. And I was like, okay, I'll try the next one. And then there's a review with 2 different guys. And the first book, one guy had basically my opinion where he's like, it was pretty good. I had a decent time. And the other guy was like, I honestly didn't like this book. And if it wasn't for his co-host, he wouldn't have continued. The second book is a significant bump in writing. It really is. Like, it really is. He comes up, there's a lot more interesting ideas, diverts in interesting ways. There's a lot more sci-fi aspects that are put in. It's not just Red Rising in space. It's not the Name of the Wind. It is a completely different thing. And I would highly, highly recommend you. In fact, of everything I have asked you on this podcast, I would ask you to try book 2. If you don't like book 2, which literally no one I have recommended this book series has not liked book 2, if you don't like book 2, you will not like the series. If you like book 2, you will like the series. Period. You just will. It is a bump in quality. It is. In fact, I was looking on Goodreads, and with Goodreads, the first book has a 3.95, and the second book jumps all the way up to a 4.34. It is a bump up. Would you be against trying book 2 with that recommendation?
No, I didn't hate this book. Okay. It's above a 5. Okay. It's just going into the compartment that I currently put Harry Potter in, where it's like, I'm not loving this. I'm not I'm not like attached to any character. I'm not super motivated to do it. I will get there at some point in time. Like, I would say my mood is similar to what you say yours was. It's like, I'm not against it. I love it. I'll read it at some point. That's where I'm at. It's like, at some point I'll get there.
I probably would have been a little higher than you. I would have been somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. Just kind of like, that was a decent time. Glad I read it once. Got me through some work. That's where I was with the first book. A second book for me was a major step up. Like, the second book I rated like an 8 to an 8.5. It's a big jump. And then book 3 is just like, holy shit, that book is so good. It's so good. Anyway, cool. I was interested in your thoughts on that. I'm glad that you were. This is one of the great things about Josh is he's just honest about his thoughts and opinions, no matter what, and he's pretty good at tactfully putting them. Because I know having to explain his thoughts on my favorite book series and being like, honestly, I didn't really love it, would be not something that is the funnest thing to do. Anyway, with that, let's go to our last topic. It's a shared topic, and I am a piece of garbage because Libby did not have a copy for me, so I didn't read this at all. Lauren, you're the one who was reading this. You're the one who suggested it, and apparently, you're the one who was reading this. And I guess things shifted a little bit for you since your last review. What happened?
Okay, so I reviewed it last week, and then after Josh was like, "Hey, that sounds like exactly like what I want to read," and so I was like, "Oh, great!" And then I kept reading more, and I was like, you should skip chapter 5." And then I like kept reading, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna skip this book," because it had, from what I read, it didn't have like any acts happening, but it did have a lot of talk about genitalia. And I was like,
Okay.
oh my gosh, okay, let's like, why? Why does this need to be a thing? Because like they go, she's trying to find ways to heal him, and they go a druidic route. Um, and so she's like taking him on a full moon to places that are like in betweens, like sunset and like meeting it like water. So like there's air and water, like trying to find thin veiled places. And she's like, oh, there's this one place that's like um a spring. Well, there's a brothel on top of the spring, and they like go in there and they like describe everything and talk about how like there's people that will just do stuff in the, like how they're not supposed to do stuff in the hot springs, but they are doing stuff in the hot springs, and they have like signs telling them not to do those things. And then it just got like to the point where like they're always like teasing each other about everything, and I'm like, can we go back to like you guys just threatening to kill each other, like um so I got to chapter 7, I believe, and then I just kind of let it off because I found another book to read, and I was like, I don't feel like finishing this. Just it's making me uncomfortable, and I'm kind of sad I bought the book because uh, I grabbed it because it was part of a genre that I had been reading, and so I like asked the lady at Barnes and Noble if she had that and a couple of other books, and that was the only one that they had at that Barnes and Noble. And so I got that one without actually researching all that much. Normally with these, because this was a fan fiction that then got turned into a book, so that's what I was like looking for. And normally I read the fan fictions before I go find the book adaptation. I did not read the fan fiction to this one, and I wish I had. um, yeah. Anyway, so it was dropped to a 3 because I really did enjoy the first 4 chapters.
That's too bad. That's too
Yeah.
bad. All right, Josh, what was your take on this?
Well, now I'm really angry. Because had my co host said, I gave up on the book, no need to finish it, I would not have suffered through this book. There is no part that I thought was good. I was waiting for like the teasing, cutesy, like, I hate you, no, I hate you, go die, whatever. And I got like 2 minutes of it at the very end of the book. And then it got extremely uncomfortable. Like everything you read prior was nothing compared to what happened at the end of this,
Oh
or
no.
towards the end of this book. And I was like, this book is so horrible. Like the writing is bad, the pacing's bad. I don't like either of these characters. Like I was sitting there like I could write a better fanfic where it's like a doctor like reluctantly healing the like assassin dude. And like Lauren hit it right on the nail on the head. Like this author made some strange decisions. Like we're not going to use the word blood or veins or arteries. They're going to be safe passage and bad lines and red body, whatever. But we're going to say the word vulva and vagina and penis 1,000 times. Like, she's talking about the brothel, and you go in, and he's like, there's a wall of vulvas. Vulva this one. Vulva. Like, literally, that is how it's read. And I was like, what? I don't care at all. He goes to her and a doctor, and there's like a diagram, and he's like, there's a vagina diagram. And I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. And he's supposed to have this like funny, witty friend. And he goes and talks to him, and the friend's like, hey man, what happened last night? We were supposed to meet up. And he's like, sorry, bro, something came up. And the friend's response is, was the thing that came up was your penis? And they're like, what? And he's like, I saw
There's
you at the
no
brothel,
way.
so it had to have been your penis that came up. And I was like,
Oh, that's so bad.
what am I reading?
That's so bad.
Yeah.
The thing that happens towards the end of this book is he's starting to realize, quote unquote, she's attractive. He gets stabbed, so he goes to her home to find her. Turns out she's at having a family party or whatever. So she treats him, puts her in her room, whatever. And then he is getting better. He has a fantasy about her and decides to rub one out while she's sleeping on the couch next to her.
What the?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That is so
It
bad.
was so
I'm burning
horrible.
this
I was
book.
literally like, skip forward, skip forward, skip forward. It was still going, and I was like, skip forward. I don't want to listen to this crap. And then the book ends, and it's supposed to be like this big cliffhanger of like, will they, won't they fall in love, and will they, won't they go get the bad guy that they just found out was the real bad guy. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care at all. I am not listening to the second book. This is not happening. This is horrible. I don't know what publisher was like, yes, this is fine in the state that it is in, because it is not. It is some of the worst fanfic writing I have ever read. It is horrible. The ideas that this person has, I don't know what it was a fanfic of, even.
You have no guess?
I've got no ideas. He's a shadow walker. Whatever that means. Lauren was right. They never explain the magic system. They never really explain what the heck is even going on. Just terrible. I'm giving it a 1 because it has 0 redeeming qualities. Like I said, it had 2 minutes of cutesiness and then had 5 minutes of that scene that I just
horror.
told you about. And I was like, please stop. Please just don't. Please let's not. That's no.
I'm so sorry.
Is a really, really easy suspend hold.
I'm so
Cancel that hold right now. That hold is canceled. I got some time saved. Thank you, Josh. That sounds terrible. That is all. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm genuinely surprised that the ending, being what it is, got published. I get fantasy. I get there's a lot of sex scenes. I get it's popular. Blah 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 blah. That is weird. That is gross. That is nope.
Yeah, because like I said, I'd only gotten to chapter 4, I believe, when I talked about this last week, and I thought it was funny when he goes to propose to her about killing him, and he's like, okay, well, I tried the flattery. Oh, well, I tried the bribery. It looks like we're kidnapping. But then they decide not to do the kidnapping because another person comes in to persuade her to take the bribe. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I like this. I like this dynamic, but it did not continue at all.
Like I said, it pops back up for 2 seconds. It's very briefly back, and like he invites her to dance, and it's a little bit cute, and they're teasing each other, and then it is literally followed with that scene. And I was like, just I don't know what they were
Yeah.
thinking. I don't know. Did the editor even read this, or were they just like, it's a popular fanfic, sign, good to go? And not,
Probably.
Honestly, a lot of editors just read the first part. Like, it happens a lot. So I wonder if they read like the first 3 chapters, like, oh, this is going great places. This seems great.
editors read the first part when they take on the challenge. They will read the entire thing before they push it to be published.
Yeah.
It oftentimes they have to do multiple edits and changes and reviews, and they do a peer review system before they even pitch it to publishers. Like, there's a big process. But it looks like everybody was just like, I see dollar signs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I see burning this book in holy water with, possession, chant from Supernatural. Maybe a priest should come by.
You need to wash your eyes for 5 minutes under saline water.
Yeah. And literally, had you said, like, this was too uncomfortable with me, I gave it up, I would have been like, thank goodness, I will put it down. Because
sorry.
Wanted to so bad to stop listening to this book, but I was like, no, Lauren recommended it. She gave it a high rating.
I did not recommend it. I could not be clear enough to say I didn't recommend it.
You pitched the idea, and I feel like what was pitched was not what I got.
I feel the same way.
And I was like, it's for the podcast, so I will finish it. And I finished it literally last night at work, and I was sitting there like, I should be working right now, but I'm pressing skip forward 30 seconds.
I'm so sorry. Well, now I know not to finish it.
Please don't. Please do actually burn it. Please, for me, just light it on fire.
I'll send a picture of me burning it.
Okay, thank you.
We'll just add a clip of alarm burning it to the end of this podcast.
Yeah. To whoever wrote the fanfic in the book, here's my plea to you. Go find Jesus. Go sit in a church for a little while. I don't care if you actually convert. Just go sit there for just like cleanse. 6 hours.
Sniff some incense.
You need help. Maybe therapy too. Good idea, I think. That's what I have to say on this. Please don't read it. Nobody read it. Nobody look it up. Just not good.
We need to straight up F minus. Only thing that we're actually going to burn in this podcast is that bad. All right, guys. Next week we'll be watching something way better. Way better. We're going to do My Hero Season 4. You guys watch My Hero. Watch with us. It's going to be awesome. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and make tomorrow better than today. And don't read trash. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.